Our suspicions have finally been proven. I have for you an article from Vice.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Please, for the love of God, don't tell me you're actually going to use a Vice article to attempt to make any type of actual argument about anything. I think Vice is probably the least trusted news source in the entirety of the world. I don't think anybody takes that fucking thing seriously, and I can't believe you're actually about to quote bullshit off of a Vice article. Fuck, here we go.
That goes as follows. People who identify as gamers more prone to racist, sexist behavior, says study. This is from Vice. This is unironically real. This is actually real. And frankly, it's not even that silly, because I believe it. People who identify, keyword identify, as capital G gamers, yeah, I believe they would be more prone to racist or sexist behavior. I completely fucking believe that. Fake news, fake study. You guys can cope all you like, but if you play video games, you're a fucking racist. What can I say? Obviously, in case there is anybody in chat who has no reading comprehension skills, which many conservatives don't, this study is not claiming gamers are racist or video games make you racist. It's simply claiming that there is a problem among the gaming community with racism being not exactly rejected.
Why is it that I always feel like Xander here is just never recovered from his days in those horrible, horrible Modern Warfare 2 lobbies on Xbox Live? I can't help but feel like he just lies awake at night, replaying those moments in a PTSD fashion. I don't get it. I don't know what you're talking about in terms of the entirety of the gaming community not rejecting racism. I just don't see it. I simply don't see it. And I know I can't be everywhere in the gaming community as a whole. However, I'm stereotypically in one of the, what is thought to be the most, or one of the most toxic gaming communities that's out there, which is Counter-Strike. And the amount that I see racism there is, it's so little. And all the platforms that you could play on now, saying shit that's racist is just an instant ban on any platform. So where is this idea that racism is accepted in the gaming community? Everyone is outright punished. I know of no game, I know of no community in which you can be openly racist in a video game and not face an almost instantaneous punishment for it. No questions asked. Like, genuinely, I want Xander to go in and try it. Just go and say, like, racist shit in any current multiplayer game. Any of them. Just go down the list of the big multiplayer games that you can play right now and try it and see how quickly you are banned from each one of them. I guarantee you it is almost instantaneous. I watch it happen all the time. I know it happens because you do still get these random trolls or these random fucking like wannabe edgelords that will say some wild shit in games. Yeah, that's just a part of the internet. That's part of the being anonymous on the internet and not having to actually face consequences other than an account ban on a video game. There are still those people, and whenever I encounter them, like I said, they're instantly punished. Immediately punished. And usually, for the most part, in any multiplayer game that I know of, it's typically a 14-day ban automatically for your first offense. Second offense is usually a either month or permanent ban. You just no longer can play that game. So where is this outright acceptance of racism in the gaming community? Point it out to me.
And I think that's fair to admit, right? Gamers tend to get annoyed by left-wing people trying to excise racist from gaming communities, and so racists find that as sort of like they see that as sort of a sign that they are welcome in those communities.
Yeah, no, just outright false. Just completely made up. You just fabricated a lie out of thin air. That is not at all true. The only thing I could say to that is that yes, the gaming community is tired of being politically policed by the left. The gaming community is tired of the constant attacks of being called racist, Nazis, sexist, homophobes, transphobes. We, as gamers, have been through quite a crusade in the past decade or so, and just for existing. So that's the only thing I can really point to that you're trying to argue with. Like, maybe that's what you mean, but it's not because we want to hide or shield racists. We just want to be left the fuck alone with these political fucking bullshit commentators coming in and berating us for not being politically correct enough in our communities. That's what we want. We want to be left the fuck alone so we can play our video games in peace. So all of you weirdos can fuck right off.
Anyway, a new study suggests that a person who strongly identifies as a gamer is more likely to be prone to quote-unquote extreme behaviors like racism, sexism, and defending their community at any cost. While toxicity and radicalization have long been known as issues afflicting some parts of the video game community.
Wow, this is already turning like just full bullshit in the very first few sentences of this article. And the fact that you didn't just immediately close it and brush it off as just vice being vice again shows that you actually want this to be true. Not necessarily that it is, but that you want it to be true. So let's go ahead and I have to ask the question for clarification on what do you mean by, or what does the article mean by strongly identify as a gamer? I've never strongly identified as a gamer. I don't think I know anybody who ever has, other than the fact that, yes, I would say most gamers would identify as a gamer. They would say, yes, that they play video games, that they spend a lot of time gaming, that it's probably one of their biggest and one of their most beloved hobbies. Yes. If that's what classifies as being called a quote unquote strong identified gamer, then okay, I'd say like 80% of people on video games would be lumped into that. So that'd be a very, very large sample base, wouldn't it? But I guess we just don't get to know because I don't think the article ever actually explains. Just people who strongly identify as a gamer. I guess you're just more inherently racist, sexist, and prone to negative and toxic traits, according to this article and according to this fuckwit.
The mechanisms of how this occurs aren't fully understood. The new research suggests that key parts of understanding is knowing how strongly the gamer identity pervades a person's life. When the gamer identity is very core to who you are as a person, that seems to reflect what we call toxic gamer culture, tends to reflect more exclusion than inclusion, so things like racism and sexism and misogyny.
Again, right off the bat, this is the most bullshit I've ever heard about gaming. You think that, so in a world where I can sit here and play video games from someone in Australia or in Brazil or in Japan or in France and fucking Africa somewhere. Like, you think that in an age, in a group, in a community, and time period in which that is possible at the snap of your fingers, that would cause more exclusion than inclusion? That's just ridiculous. That is just fucking stupid. I know this is anecdotal at best, but I personally have seen so many different diverse groups of people that, aside from video games, would have never met each other. I have a pretty cool friend that's actually from Venezuela that I never would have met had it not been for gaming. Really cool dude. Again, never would have met the guy if I wasn't a gamer, right? This is ridiculous. The article's trying to paint things in the worst light possible, I feel. It's trying to take the very extremes of the situation and kind of twist it so that it's it kind of fits everybody, right? You're taking the very, very extremes of trolls and edge lords and saying, well, these people identify as gamers, therefore, all people who identify as gamers inherently are more likely to have these traits. Like, this is going to be just full of bullshit like that. I'm not even 5 minutes in, and I can tell that that's how this article is going to go.
Rachel Coert, the research director at Take This, a nonprofit that provides mental health information to the gaming industry and others, and one of the paper's authors told Vice News, all these things that we know exist in gaming spaces. I really wish there was a dark mode for the site because it's really hard to read the white background black text. All these things that we know exist in gaming spaces seem to be internalized by those who very closely identify as being part of the community. It should be noted that this is only referring to a small toxic proportion or portion of the gaming community, which numbers in the billions, as many positive communities and elements exist within gaming culture. Listen, I'm sorry, Vice, but any conservative figure that decided to make a hit piece video on this article has already clipped out that little bit and is not concerned with your, with your clarification that no, you do not in fact think all gamers are racist. Like,
Oh, yeah? No, I'll gladly keep it in, and I'll gladly address it too. You can take that last few sentences and shove it right up your ass, because you literally just stated that essentially all people who identify as a gamer are far more likely to be racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, etc., etc. You just stated that that makes it a much higher probability, but then double back on it to be like, oh, well, not all gamers. Really? You literally just said basically the majority, then, oh, well, we don't mean like everybody. Well, which is it? Is it a majority of people, or is it a very, very small, minute group of people who are really toxic? Because those are two very different things, aren't they? Like, if it's a very, very, very small group of people over here on the side that the vast majority of communities disown and do not associate with, then it's a non-issue, isn't it? So then the entire point of this article would not really serve a point, correct? But it's not. That's not what you're saying. We all know it. You are saying that gamer culture in general is inherently more racist, sexist, etc. You are saying all gamers. Stop acting like you're not.
they're going to claim you do. That said, some extremists, especially those in the far right, use gaming communities as a recruitment ground. Research has found that places like Steam and Discord are popular areas for white supremacists and pedophiles. That's true. It's a problem that the industry hasn't necessarily wanted to grapple with, but that's slowly changing, and some game companies are now calling out misogyny. Even the term gamer has been disputed within the community, with the term frequently being used for toxic gatekeeping. For some, a gamer is someone who plays on PCs. True.
Oh dear God, we're actually about to get into like PC fucking master race memes. Fucking A. Yeah, we're gonna sit here and define that there's about a million different ways that people view themselves as real gamers or whatever else, right? Some people say, oh, I play competitive games, therefore I'm a real gamer. I play Call of Duty, therefore I'm a real gamer. I play on PC, I play on console, Xbox, PS fucking 5, whatever's out these days. Like, there's a million different like little subgroups that have these little wars with each other that nobody actually really takes seriously, except for, again, a very small, minute group of extremes where they genuinely think that like the Xbox is the hands down best gaming console, best gaming piece of equipment that's ever been designed ever. Like, who cares? This is such a ridiculous statement to make, and it absolutely serves no purpose. But of course, you also talk about things like Discord housing fucking, what is it, like neo Nazis and pedophiles and shit. Like, how is that a gamer thing? Like, how's that relevant to the gaming community at large? Discord is a completely open to use for anyone voice and text chat service. And it does its job pretty fucking well, too. Yeah, it started out specifically targeted at gamers, but at this point, it's kind of just everywhere, right? Like, most people know what Discord is, whether they even are gamers or not. I know people who literally don't own a console, they don't own a PC, they don't. The biggest thing that they are a gamer on is their cell phone playing Candy Crush. But guess what? They still know and have Discord on their phones. So you can't just paint Discord over as like, oh, it's a gamer thing, just because it was originally intended for gamers. All the bad aspects of it that fall back on gamers now. That's ridiculous.
For others, it's only people who play competitive multiplayer games, or if you play on easy mode, you're not a gamer, and so on and so forth. The term can be exclusive for many people and has been a hot button issue in the community as of late. For the 3 studies the researchers conducted for the paper, they allowed the respondents. Alright, I'm gonna give you guys my take. Being a gamer is more like. Being a gamer is literally an identity. Playing video games doesn't make you a gamer.
And you've lost me in this absolute stupidity that you just said. You think that being a gamer is an identity now? Look, I get it. You're hardcore in that leftist political sphere where you think everything needs to be categorized and everything then needs a subcategory to it as well. Everything needs a subclass and everything else. I get it. You want to have a label for everything, and everything is an identity. We get it. However, there is no gamer identity. Okay, there is gamer culture, sure. There's, memes that are specific to gamers. There are inside jokes. There are things that only gamers really know and talk about because non-gamers don't know anything about video games. So yes, there is a culture to it, but that's not an identity. That is a group of people having similar interests. Again, not a fucking identity, weirdo. I don't understand how you come up with these things. But like I said, they're going to go into subcategories of you're not a real gamer if you do this, this, or this. I am 100% being honest here. Didn't even get to that part in the video, or I skipped over it. Did not know that that was coming up, and I called it before. That's how common and cookie cutter this this new article is from the old ones that we've seen a dozen times before. They use the exact same arguments. They're saying the exact same things, just with a little bit of a modern twist to them now. That's all. Either way, though, you don't get to decide who and who is not a gamer. Like, you literally just quoted the article and it talking about gatekeeping, and then you decide for all of the gaming community that there is a gamer identity. You do not get to decide what does and what does not make a gamer. You do not get to decide who and who is not a gamer. That is up to the person individually. I hate that you're going to sit here and try and class a bunch of people together based on your own stupid fucking logic, because like I said earlier, we all know that you love to group people together.
Playing video games doesn't make you a gamer. A gaming journalist who literally just, phones it in just to write articles and make a paycheck isn't a gamer, even if they actually play the game. If a guy forces his girlfriend to play through video games for a YouTube channel, that is a real YouTube channel that I watch, by the way, does that make the girlfriend a gamer? Well, she's not, into video games, and her part, she only does it for the videos, and even if she has a little bit of fun while doing it, it's not a hobby that she subscribes to and takes part in out of her own active volition. So, yeah, I'd say that gamer is more of a identity than a thing that you are. For the 3 studies the researchers conducted for the paper, they allowed the respondents to define themselves as gamers and didn't offer an operational definition. The research was conducted by Cohort, Bill Swan, a psychology professor at the University of Texas at Austin, and Alexi Martel, a psychology PhD student for the academic journal Frontiers in Communication. Each of the 3 studies surveyed hundreds of people who played video games and analyzed the gamers' beliefs. Cohort said that to understand the research, you need to understand the concept known as identity fusion. They define this as when an identity is almost the defining trait of your personality, something that pervades all aspects of a person's life.
Ooh, so you mean like you with your political correctness and your left leaning tendencies? Not even fucking left leaning at this point. You're full on lefty. You are so far out in left field. Eh, So basically, it consumes who you are as a person. So instead of that's a basic categorization of like what this word or what this term really means is you identify as a group you identify with a group or individuals and you allow your personality to be taken over by that group and their own preset personalities. So like I said, a good example would be, well, Xander here, who only preaches political correctness and left wing bullshit, who is now so anti right or so into the left that he is completely anti right. Literally had a clip from another video where he says that he hates to admit when gun YouTubers make good points or whatever because they tend to be right wing. Like that's like when you know your entire personality has been taken over by something, when you no longer can make decisions on your own. Every decision that you make is made through this lens of this new personality that you have crafted to fit in with some group. That's what that is essentially. But listen to what he has to say about it.
You know what's really fucking funny? Academics have come up with a word for the thing that these gamer bro chuds accuse black people of doing and like gay people and every minority of doing. You know how like these gamer bros will be like, "Yeah, man, these gays, they're just always talking about being gay. They can never talk about anything else. It's their whole personality."
And as if to just go ahead and prove me right in my previous statement, you go into this. Whew. So you have already lumped gamers in with racists. Just instantly, just right off the top, just right off the bat, just no issue, no hesitation, just instantly gamers racist. Okay. Yeah, that point still it still holds. If your entire personality is the fact that you're gay or trans or black or white or Asian or a woman or a man, if your entire personality is simply just that, if you literally start most of your sentences with as this or as that, then yeah, you would fall subject to this. This is like that's your entire personality at that point. And we have seen it, especially from these hyper political people, both on the left and the right. Let's not delude ourselves here. It's on the right as well. And it's just as cringe when they fucking do it. But yes, this is something that is all too common at this point, where you will have entire groups of people whom don't have a personality of their own anymore. They don't have their own opinions, their own thoughts, their own feelings. They have trained or almost brainwashed themselves into no longer having anything to think or say or feel about anything else that doesn't fall under this lens of I am this, therefore this. Like that's how that works. I see it all the time. And to sit here and act like that's a wrong thing to say, that hey, you should have a personality outside of your sexuality or outside of your race or outside of your gender. How many people do you see walking around as like say a straight male? Like how many people do you think walk around saying, well, as a straight man, blah 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 blah. Right? It sounds ridiculous. When applied to anything else, it sounds absolutely ridiculous. It sounds outlandish, like people don't do that. But in reality, people do it literally all the fucking time, where their new identity becomes their entire personality. They're not another individual that has like, oh yes, I am gay, but I am also this, and this. No, it's just they are these identities that the left really wants to categorize everybody into. And that becomes who they are as a person. And that's honestly not even something I would say is like hurtful towards these people. it's more so sad, just disheartening. It's depressing as fuck to see it happen throughout my own generation and the generations that are coming after me. It's really, really sad to see that people are no longer individuals. They're no longer their own persons. They are this group identity, and that is it.
Yeah, black people, they're always talking about racism and yada yada. It's like, okay, bro. Meanwhile, academics who are studying these exact types of people have come up with a term, identity fusion, for when they make their identity their entire personality, which is exactly that. It's always fucking projection. And totally true, by the way.
Are you still specifically talking about gamers? If so, don't think that it's gone unnoticed your level of very apparent disdain for the gaming community. Like, you're making it really obvious where you lie in this and how you feel on it, and the article isn't even half over yet. You clearly agree with this article wholeheartedly that gamers are just awful, racist, sexist, horrible human beings. Also, when I've never ever witnessed the the identity fusion that you're talking about with gamers. I just talked about how I have seen that with a lot of people on both the right and the left, more so specifically on the left, yes, but it does happen on the right as well. But I've never seen that really in gamers. I have never seen like a person just become a quote unquote gamer. Like they identify as a person who has gaming as a hobby, so therefore they just become nothing but gaming. I've never seen that before in my life. I've never heard of this. I've never witnessed it. I would really enjoy some examples you could give, because I'm completely in the dark on this. You act like this is common practice. You can tell by like the tone in your voice, your facial expression when you say these things. You act like this is just commonplace, that you witness this all the time. I have never seen it, and I have never heard of anybody seeing it. I've never, until this article, I have never heard of anybody ever just being a gamer, and that is all they are.
We have individual identities and social identities. So I'm Rachel. I'm a female and I'm a gamer. I love The Witcher. These are my social identities and they are separate, said Noert. Identity fusion is when the social identity and individual identity fuses together and you can't tear them apart. And the way in which fusion is shown to develop makes them susceptible to more extreme behaviors.
See, and this is where I'm going to go ahead and start to question the validity of this expert that has created this article, because I know who it is. I've gone through and I've read a little bit into the article, and I have examined the reputations and the qualifications of the people whom did this study. And the person, the main doctor, the main psychologist who is kind of reigning over this study, this article, is somebody who has essentially dedicated her life to the psychology of gaming, and a very obvious left wing person, so much so that it is clearly biased. I mean, this is the same person who you can go to their YouTube channel and see that they believe that gaming causes people to be desensitized to violence, crime. It causes people to be more angry. It causes them to be more violent, etc., etc. Just all of the basic stereotypes of the psychology of gaming is brought up and regurgitated by this person. So I'm going to go ahead and call the validity of the expert into question. Not only that, but she literally she literally messes up and defining what a social and individual identity is, because she defines a thing that she likes, a hobby of hers, and her name all as social identities. How is that not your individual identity? What, like, if those are your social identities, what are your individual identities? See, just like I was stating before, she's a leftist. She likes just like this Xander does, to categorize things, to make your identity who you are as a sexuality, as a race, etc. They want you to be in those boxes. That's who you are as an individual. They want those groups to be your individual identity. Whereas I think that's complete bullshit. I think the simple things like so is your name, your hobbies you like to do, the more specific little details of what you like within those hobbies or outside of those hobbies, that's what makes you an individual. That's what makes you different from other people, right? Even if we just take gaming for example, I am a more competitive gamer. I always have been. I like more competitive based video games. I'm not a huge casual player. I'm not a huge into like your story based games. It has to be a really, really good story for me to get into it. I'm not a big fighting, even though I'm competitive. I hate fighting games. Like, I just could never pick them up for some reason. Racing, same thing. Not very fun. You know, that's what makes me different from every other person who I hate to say this, but identifies as a gamer, right? That's what makes me different is my individual preferences. You know, my favorite game, which may well be Witcher 3, actually. Witcher 3 is an amazing game. But what makes me an individual distinct from the other gamers? Because you could take me, somebody who mostly plays Counter-Strike and is a speedrunner as well. You could take those two traits and cross-reference them into every other gamer in the world and see how many people have the exact same tastes. You could break that down in even smaller groups. And then let's take Counter-Strike. I am mostly an opper, another subcategory. Speedrunning, I speedrun horror games, another subcategory. Out of speedrunning horror games, I speedrun mostly Resident Evil based games. Maybe the occasional Evil Within or Silent Hill, another subcategory. And then even within that, I only speedrun certain Resident Evil games. Like, you see how it just keeps going and creates this individual identity that sets you apart from everybody else. It's not just, hey, I am gamer. There's more to it. That's what makes you an individual. That's what makes your individual identity. And the fact that a psychologist who has dedicated their life to studying the psychology of gaming, essentially, is not capable of distinguishing between an individual and social identity. I mean, you have to question the validity of what she has to say.
Coert used the example of someone who was in the military for years, and that identity leaks into all aspects of their life until there's not much difference between Doug the soldier and Doug the father. Those who have gone through this identity fusion are susceptible to quote-unquote extreme pro-group behavior. Yeah, this is completely true. This is exactly what the military uses, and there's a reason, by the way, there's a reason why military recruitment ads look like this. This is an unironic playing on TV and on like shit like that. This is an ad for the U.S. Marine Corps, okay? Tell me this doesn't maybe remind you of a little something.
The future is threatened.
Whoa.
By enemies often unrelenting.
Whoa.
Unexpected. And unpredictable. In the midst of an uncertain and evolving world.
The Marines just revealed the birds are drones, by the way. The Marines literally just outed that birds aren't real and they're literally all drones.
The need for Marines to defeat these shifting threats is critical.
Enemy drone down.
Because the need to ensure stability for our nation has never been greater.
Sending coordinates now.
When there are battles to win for America's future, there is one constant. Marines.
That is what military recruitment ads look like in the U.S. Now, yes, they do the little woke virtue signal, whatever, right?
Yeah, sorry, I'm still just waiting for the point. I'm waiting for whatever whatever fucking argument you're trying to make here. What you want to say that military and gaming communities are, one and the same, or are you trying to say that the this marine ad commercial, there we go, that's the word, is portraying itself more like a video game, like more like a Call of Duty, to attract people in? Because that's something that's been known and done by military recruiters for forever. So I mean, I'm just waiting on your point here. I don't get it, because yes, that's something that's been done for forever, and military and gaming communities are not the same. I can 100% guarantee you that they are nowhere close to the same.
But yeah, like the Captain Marvel ad, the one that was like a Captain Marvel thing. But regardless, outside of that, most of the time the ads are like this. Like, the military wants to appeal to the broadest range of Americans as possible to get them to enlist. So yeah, they're going to put out ads that appeal to like woke Democrats that might want to join the military, and they're going to put out ads to chuds too. And like gamer bros. There's a subset of gamers who turn to video games for the community they lack, where they may lack elsewhere in their life, and they form strong bonds within that subculture. In the paper, the authors dub this a double-edged sword, as finding a community could be a positive thing for a gamer, but it could also introduce them to toxicity and hateful speech. In the worst-case scenario, this may lead some to be lured into embracing extremist beliefs that lead them down a path to radicalization. Some in the industry are attempting to address the issue of toxic behavior and extremism in extremism in gaming communities. Games have also been used as an effective counter-violent extremism tool as well, particularly through the use of bespoke serious games in educational settings. Decount, a well-known game in this genre, walks players through the radicalization journey of ISIS and far-right extremists. Okay, maybe that's a good game, but a video game about being radicalized into ISIS. Interesting.
Oh yes, so very interesting. So very interesting, and yet also so full of absolute fucking bullshit. Every single word of what was just uttered is absolute fucking bullshit. For fuck's sakes. So there's what now, roving groups of extremists trying to convert people over video games. How come I've played video games for so long and I've never once heard or ran into this personally? I get that that's anecdotal, but still, I've not, like, the amount of people that I know and the amount of time I've spent in the gaming community, and I've never even once heard of this. The only time I've ever heard of this is bullshit articles like this that claim that gaming is being used by extremists to radicalize people, and it's never, ever, 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 ever amounted to anything. This has been something that's been talked about for over a decade now, and yet I've never even seen a news article that covered a fucking attack on someone that was actually caused by video game radicalization. There's never been a terrorist attack. There's never been a mass shooting. There's never been a hate crime caused, or at least linked to them being radicalized on the internet in some gaming community. That's never once ever come across my screen. I've never seen it. And I can't even find anything when I try and look up something similar to that. The best you're going to get is the commonplace articles of games cause people to be desensitized to violence, going all the way back to the Columbine shooting, because the fucking shooters played Doom, therefore Doom bad, therefore video games bad, right? That's the extent of the articles that you're going to get on this topic. You're not going to find anything like what you are stating as if it's an absolute fact.
Like every large community, gamers aren't a monolith. So the study's authors decided to look at the differences between two popular gaming communities, Call of Duty and Minecraft. Alright guys, which gaming community do you think was more reactionary? Minecraft gamers or Call of Duty gamers? I feel like COD too. Then again, 2B2T might be toxic enough for all of Minecraft to win out on COD, you know? The paper found that antisocial behavior like racism and misogyny correlated stronger with fans of the Call of Duty series.
And there you have it. That's all the information you need from both this article and Xander. That's so ridiculous. So I guarantee you what they're talking about is people on fucking Call of Duty making racist statements or racist jokes, calling people the N-word, because again, you are anonymous. You're hidden behind a keyboard, behind a controller, behind a headset and a mic. You don't have to have any consequences to your actions. So yes, people who are more likely to do weird, stupid shit to try and piss people off in any way they can, they're going to be more likely to do that when they have no consequences for doing it. It's just commonplace knowledge. This isn't life-changing information that nobody knew about. We all know the amount of shit-talking that happens in Call of Duty lobbies. No one cares. No one takes it seriously. I can't find anybody that I know of that I've ever met or heard of that takes a Call of Duty pre or post game or in between round lobby shit talking seriously, and thinks that like the community itself is just full of racists. No, people make racist jokes, they make sexist jokes, they try to say things that they know will most likely get a reaction out of you or piss you off. That's their goal. They're not actually racist, they're not actually sexist, they're not actually any of these things. They're going after something to piss you off. That's their only goal. And you guys fall trap to it and believe that the entire community is therefore somehow just a massive group of bigots. It's so fucking ridiculous, and it's so telling that you guys have no idea about any type of gaming culture, any of the gaming communities, and you have such a fucking weak grasp on the reality of the world that we live in.
Sure, okay. So this can vary across communities depending on what kind of people that you are spending a lot of your time with, said Noer. I don't think it's necessarily about content, but about the community in which you're being immersed. The authors are quick to caution people from reading too heavily into this, and more research is necessary. The effects of gaming have long been a hot topic issue. Yeah, we get it. They got a little disclaimer at the end.
Just look at how quickly Xander is to just write off that little disclaimer at the end stating that more research is needed and that we shouldn't read too heavily in this. That's probably the only part of this article that I actually was able to like have a little bit of faith in it, and maybe these are just vast generalizations that got picked up by Vice. Like these are initial findings and very early research stages, right? So and he just immediately brushes that off. Yeah, we get it. You got a little disclaimer, blah, blah. Like, yeah, the fucking tone that you have is just absolute fucking disdain for gamers. It's amazing to me that you can just write off an entire mass group of people as horrible inherently, like with such ease. It's insane to me, but yet we're the bad people. We're the racists, the sexists, the homophobes, the bigots. We're the Nazis, I guess. We're over here wondering why we're constantly under attack by political correct fucking weirdos like you who hate us for some reason, but yet we're the bad guys. Yeah, makes total sense, doesn't it, Xander?
Okay, now the funny thumbnail, like the title of my video is going to be study scientifically proves gamers are racist. But listen, I do think it's good that we are now seeing mainstream media outlets as well as academic institutions starting to take seriously and actually study very, to them, to what like would seem to the mainstream, niche but important communities online that are radicalizing people to the far right, or where people are being radicalized to the far right.
Look at that instant far right. Radicalization and far right. Those two just are inseparable in your mind, aren't they, Xander? Because you can never be radicalized to the far left. There is no far left, right? There's never an extreme enough left. Wow. It's wild to me that you can be this delusional, this unironically incapable of self-reflection. You have literally just spent the past, 30 minutes, 20 minutes reading an article including the topics of identity fusion, where you become just this group personality. You're no longer an individual, right? And you want to end off on talking about how important it is that mainstream media and researchers start diving in and researching these communities that are radicalizing those evil far righties. But what about your far leftist radicalization? Do we need to research that? Do we need to look into that? And especially when you're talking about video games, are you kidding me? The vast majority of all of the tech industry is far left. Whether it be game development, whether it be any type of computer software, I mean, it's all mostly far left leaning. It's definitely not leaning on the right. That's more of a rarity, and it's true in the gaming communities as well. The vast majority of gamers are not going to be hardcore Republicans voting for Trump in the next election, okay? It's just not realistic. But yet, you want to find and isolate these communities that are supposedly radicalizing people over to the right. You want to completely destroy those communities, don't you, Xander? Those communities that probably, if do exist, barely exist. But radicalization, it's fine, isn't it? It's fine so long as it's for your team. It's fine so long as it's for your side. This is what I mean when I say that a vast majority of these hardcore liberal leftists don't have a personality anymore. All you care about, there's no individualism to you, because all you care about is your team, your side. You're incapable of accepting when anybody else is right, or anybody else has a valid argument or point to be made. Again, I've already touched on it in this video. You don't even want to admit when a gun YouTuber makes a good video because they tend to be on the right wing. You're so caught up in your identity politics that you are incapable of looking at yourself and realizing you are nothing but a clone of almost every stereotypical left-wing content creator. You are completely incapable of having a genuine individual thought. You lack all individual personality. You have just become nothing but a fucking meme that I can laugh at on the internet. That's all you are now, Xander.
Obviously, all gamers aren't racist. No one's claiming that. No one's actually making that serious accusation. But it is a real problem in these communities. I mean, let's look at misogyny alone. Let me show you guys a pretty good example of this. So this is a YouTuber named Spontaneous, who is a gamer girl who plays Rainbow Six, I guess, and just records what happens when people in the lobby hear her voice.
So
let's go ahead. Let's see what happens.
Don't seem to believe me when I say
Let's see the femoid experience being a gamer online.
I have to listen to a lot of weird shit while playing games because I'm a girl. Sometimes it's funny and other times it's disgusting. So here's a series called Oh My God, a Girl! And all of the other ridiculous shit that I have to listen to. I didn't
She
do
uploaded
shit
like
that game.
episode
Yeah, but you're a girl, so
42
it's okay.
recently.
GG boys and other lady.
She sound like a woman.
A whammon. Test the biohazard container at all
She
costs.
have to expect her.
So I want to point out, by the way, the vast majority of this isn't even overtly hateful, like like comments towards her, but I want you to imagine that every time you play a video game and you get on like a lobby with the boys, every time you're like the sore thumb in the call that everybody's like either simping for, talking about in like a weird way like this, or like outright being hostile to, or trying to be over. Like, you can just tell that everybody is acting different because of your presence.
Oh no, they've made some jokes and said whammon and said must respect whammon. Like, what? Like, yeah, some guys will make jokes about finding a gamer girl because it is rather uncommon to find, especially in competitive games. There's not a whole lot of females that are competing in video games, right? Like a lot of casual games, Overwatch and shit like that, a more casual competitive I can see. I run into them when I played Overwatch all the time, and you didn't get this type of response. It was commonplace. But now, of course, you're looking at something like Rainbow Six Siege, a hyper competitive, almost entirely male dominated video game. And they're making jokes about finding a female in one of these games. And just, so far, literally just making a meme, just saying whammon. And that's enough, what, a call to arms at this point? Like, what? I really hope that there's like some actual genuine good content here that you can make an argument for, because so far you're starting off pretty fucking weak.
And that alone has to be fucking annoying, right? This is why I never went on voice chat when I played WoW. Well, Willow B, I'm building a guild in WoW, and you don't have to worry about any of that shit on my guild. So you should get on Wrath of the Lich King Classic, Pagel US. Get on that shit. Alliance side.
Woman.
I used to go free.
Can we talk less so we can actually hear what's going on?
Can you suck my
Is
dick?
that gamer girl? Fuck you, spontaneous. Hey,
Again, another gamer girl comment, and I would bet money that both whatever YouTuber it is that Xander's watching and Xander himself took that "will you suck my dick" as a sexist insult and a sexist remark, when in reality that's said all the time just in general as a fuck you type of statement. And especially in competitive games, people like to just be dickheads. Doesn't matter your fucking gender, race, or anything else. Some people are just absolute fucking dickheads online, especially in competitive games. You know how many times this exact scenario has happened to me in my fucking time in Counter-Strike? Just asking something, and especially you can hear it in her tone that she's being pissy. She is annoyed because, rightfully so, she can't hear shit. And in a game like R6, footsteps are what win or lose rounds. So I understand the frustration in it. But the moment you start having like any type of emotion behind it, the moment you start like being noticeably frustrated or pissed off, that's when these people will immediately just start to fuck with you. That's why you can't show like any reaction in a competitive game unless everybody on your team is 100% there to play a competitive game and win. This is just commonplace in competitive gaming, not exclusive to women whatsoever. Not only that, but it must be really annoying to get jokes of whammon and shit like that all the time. You know how long I've had jokes asked me like, "You're a doctor," or things like that, with the name that I have, the name that I've had for years now. I mean, it happens to me at least a handful of times per night of like a full like hardcore gaming session on Counter-Strike or any other multiplayer, right? People ask constantly. And I mean, yeah, I guess it's annoying, like, but it's something I brush off because you have to remember it's a new person every time. So, yeah, little comments like that. I mean, they also ask about like my profile picture, things like that. Like, is it really that big of a deal that they make the comment that it's a whammon? They're not being assholes. They're not fucking being mean about it. They just said whammon, and you're like freaking out about it.
Spontaneous.
You a chick? A chick with dick? I like chick with dick. I like dick in general, so.
I love chicks with dicks.
It is a girl.
Yeah,
you got Snapchat?
I've never played with a girl before. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you.
I'm really nice. Can we be friends? Hey, spontaneous.
No.
Oh, it's a little
Oh,
boy.
It's a little boy.
Oh God.
I thought it was a girl.
It is a girl.
Oh, what?
Oh, what?
Oh,
I'm
what?
so fucking confused.
She only plays girl characters.
I played
Feminist.
Legion.
It is a girl.
Feminist. Are you a feminist?
Are you feminist? If I get
Look at that fucking smug look on your face. Holy shit. Let's start off with the fact that so far, all of these comments are from one singular game from 2 people. How about that? So far, it's been like a minute, maybe a little more of this video, and it's essentially been 2 people that are being weird, asking for Snapchat and shit. And not only that, before that, like, I think it was the same people, it might not have been, but one person just said chick, and then they immediately went with chicks with dicks, and started talking about liking dick, and then liking chicks with dicks. Like, what? Where's the evil sexism at work? Where's the evil transphobia at work? Dude's literally saying he likes dick, and you're ready to fucking call him a sexist. Makes a lot of sense. Even if he is just joking, like, clearly, if you're able to just joke around about it and joke about liking dick or liking chicks with dicks or any of this other nonsense, clearly we don't sit there and hate these people and like run them out of our communities or like never allowed to speak of them because we just hate them that much that they can't ever be discussed or joked about. So like, what's this smug look on your fucking face for? You haven't proven anything. You haven't done anything. You've only successfully shown that this one content creator that probably plays R6 a ridiculous amount of hours per day can find a singular game so far in which 2 people who sound very young, by the way, act weird. Because, I mean, I can't judge entirely based on their voices, but the one definitely sounds like he's like 16, right? Like a younger teenage guy. So I'm not really sure that this is the defining argument that you think it's making it out to be.
My God, I hate them so much. This is a non-minute amount of the gaming community. This is not far off from being the average gamer, depending on what game you're playing. A shooter game in particular, like this, like Rainbow Six, which I believe this game is going to have a higher volume of them, but you better believe these people do not make up a tiny infinitesimal like fraction of the gaming community.
get an ace, can I get your Snapchat? You're not gonna answer me? Okay. Job. Kiss kiss. Do I get that Snapchat now? How about at spawn? Do I get it now?
I didn't say anything.
You probably queued up with her. Stop sucking her dick.
Nah, bro. Chill.
Yes, fuck.
That's unnecessary.
Who's more dominant?
I solo queued. I don't know any of you fucks.
Oh
Whoa,
God,
you
she's
said
mad.
you do fuck him. So it turns out she does fuck him.
Who's more dominant? Just curious. I felt like she has the dick.
100%. Chick said you were hot though while you were gone.
Oh, I bet, man.
By the
Yeah,
way,
she
all
was.
she did was
She
speak
side messaged me.
She didn't deny it though.
and be a woman in the call or in the lobby.
I've never met a woman in this game.
Hi.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Now we've got like people
How's
being
my
weird and
sandwich
awkward.
going?
Here we
Hey
go.
girl, team up.
Hey boy, no.
Alright. Boy, young kid.
Why are you so fucking triggered though? Like they just said, "Hey girl, team up."
Oh, for fuck's sakes, we're back to this stupid fucking, stupid ass smug look. Again, you want to say that this is not a small, minute group of people, that this is just the average gamer. You keep going back and forth on whether or not it's a small percentage of people in the gaming community, whether it's a all gamers, whether it's majority, you know, because you keep saying not all gamers, and then you're like, oh, this is basically the average gamer. And then you show that you are pretty inexperienced in the gaming world when you can't even call out that this is Rainbow Six Siege without question after watching 2 minutes of the gameplay. I don't even play the game, And I know that it's Rainbow Six Siege. It's like one of the biggest fucking games out there that is played currently for the past few years. Like, you have to be living under a rock to not know what R6 is and be able to know what it is, like, just based on some footage of the game. But we have an example of one game so far, where people were being weird. Not even sexist, they're just being fucking weirdos. You know what your solution is there? Just fucking mute them and move on with your life. Notice that poor other guy that was just like in between this, that was just chilling, just trying to fucking play the game, and speaks up once, and then he gets the exact same ridicule that she gets. But you don't want to talk about that. You don't want to talk about the fact that those two are literally just shit talking everybody in the lobby who spoke to shit talk everybody in the lobby who spoke. It had nothing to do with gender, had nothing to do with anything. It literally was two people who were most likely queued up together, most likely younger guys too, by the way. Gotta keep that in mind that they're probably like somewhere between like 14 and 17, maybe 18-year-old fucking teenagers that are doing this. They queued up together and they talk shit on video games on the internet. Like, where's the sexism in that? Again, the moment that guy speaks up, he gets talked shit about too. Immediately gets fucking slapped down. And then what? This last clip, somebody asks her to team, and she gets pissy and like acts all offended because they said girl. Like, what? I mean, that's not uncommon for somebody to do. They'll either call out your like the person you're playing. So like if they're playing Legion, they'd say, "Hey, Legion team." But probably the first thing that came to the dude's mind was, "Oh, it's a girl. You know, that's the only girl on the fucking team. So hey, girl, team up." And there's no context to this whatsoever either. There's no there's no rest of the footage there. Like, so clearly she didn't get like hateful fucking comments throughout the game because she would have shown that, right? She didn't get weird shit thrown at her throughout the game because she would have shown that in the video. It's just this end comment. If anything, I'd be willing to put money on the fact that most likely they had a completely civil game the entire time. They won, and this dude's probably sending invites to everybody and extended the invite, and because he said girl instead of her fucking what? Username, she gets pissed off about it and wants to act like a fucking absolute asshole back to him because he said girl. At least that would be my guess. Because again, if it was something different, if there was a constant harassment there, then most likely she would have shown that on her video, because that's the entire point of this video. But the fact that it was just that one endgame comment of someone asking her to team makes me believe that that's all that happened. Everything else was a civil, enjoyable experience.
This is the demographic. This is the demographic, guys. This is the demographic we're talking about. These are the people we have to reach. You understand why sometimes I feel the left is, like, terminally incapable of reaching these people? And it feels like anytime a content creator comes along that in any way has some form of messaging or presentation that can appeal to these types, other left-wing figures attack them so much they're forced to water down their content to the point of being as inoffensive as possible and no longer has the same edgelord appeal that it once had. Like, it's like you just can't be a left-wing figure and make content meant to appeal to these people. You'll be ostracized for it.
And all I said was, hey boy, no.
Kinda said, hey boy, what about no?
Do we want these people? No, we don't. Evelyn, you're doing a 2019 Woke Scold post. You're doing a 2019 Woke Scold post right now. You're misunderstanding a very, very important aspect of bringing people over, quote unquote. These people would not be like this anymore. You understand these people weren't born like this, right? This is a product of socialization. These are people who are like, who need to be saved, ideally. I say it like it's some religious thing, but who ideally could be brought back from this, like, ridiculous childish, immature, hateful worldview that they have and hopefully become better people. Or we could just gulag them. We can win over casual bigots, but if they're committed, not much we can do. Oh, wow, you're just absolutely a fucking idiot then. Wow. So Evelyn right there is actually, without a doubt, a very, like, shining example of what's wrong with the left. These are the people that are holding the left back, and these are the people making videos and, like, hit piece videos on me and claiming I have, like, a sex cult. The DJ Mule types, right? These are the people on the left holding back our ability to make our messaging such that people like this don't assume that they have to behave like this and fall into communities like this if they like video games. You can tell that these people are repeating buzzwords they've heard on the internet. These are people who've been brainwashed into thinking that feminists are coming to fuck up their video games. You can tell by the way they're talking and what they're saying. These are not people that were born pieces of shit misogynists or bigots that should be killed. They can grow out of it. Many of them are just going to grow out of it themselves. I feel like this is overreacting. I'm not overreacting. I'm pointing out a very common tendency in the left of why should we even want these people anyway? And it's not even just that. It's not even just the why should we even want them anyway. They treat people who are ex-far right, now left-wing, the same thing. I mean, banning Evelyn? No, it wasn't an overreaction. That shit can get me banned for allowing it in my community. Now, plus I don't want people who unironically say, let's gulag the casual bigots. How fucking stupid can you be? No, those people need to be excised from the community. Absolutely fucking excised, all right? I think it's important to understand, like, even people who are ex-far right that are now progressives get this same type of treatment. I still get talked to and treated like by left-wing Twitter like I was a neo-Nazi last month. In late 2019, I made my video about how years before I'd gone through a political evolution.
Okay, we're just going to cut it there because the entirety of the rest of this video is essentially just Sanders continue to watch this video in which I don't hear but maybe one adult voice in this entire video. It's all like 12, 14-year-old kids being fucking weird and saying edgy fucking shit because they're little edgelord kids, right? We've all seen it. It's really not that big of a fucking deal. You can go home and cry about it if you really want, Xander. I don't care. It doesn't paint the picture that you want it to. It's very disingenuous. Like I said, it's a bunch of children. Like, yes, they actually have the kind of like the right to be immature because they're fucking children. They'll grow up. They will stop doing the weird shit that they're doing now. And it's gonna be fine. Trust me. Just stop worrying so much. Jesus. I know you really, really, really want them on your side. You wanna, quote unquote, save them. Like you think it's a fucking religion to be left-wing. But eventually they will grow up and stop being the weirdos that they're being right now. And they will become fully functioning members of society for the vast majority of them. And will never have any fucking issues. I'm just very tired with the way that we're getting attacked as a collective of gamers when there's so many different communities out there. There's so many different kinds of games. There's so many different groups of people you can meet in the gaming world. And yet you have these hit pieces against the gaming community at large. And you have people like Xander or this fucking article that want to paint such a bad picture. When in reality, like I've said, I've met so many different people that I would have never met outside of gaming. I would have never had the opportunity to sit down and talk with these people that are thousands of fucking miles away. That like, there's no way I would have been able to meet half the people that I've met in my lifetime if not for gaming. And it's such a good way to bring people together. I have personally seen groups of people from literally like 8 different countries scattered across the world, joining into servers. Like Counter-Strike's a really good example of it because you have these casual servers of like surf servers or B-hop servers where you just have random people from all over the world that will join into these things and just bullshit with people. Just talk, because that's all you have to do is voice chat and surf or B-hop. And it is really fun, wholesome moments to just sit there and talk with some of these people from all different walks of life, from all different countries, from all across the world. But yet, what we want to focus on in videos like this and in articles like this is one, children being edgelord children, and two, the very, 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 very small, almost non existent minority of random people that are actually like radical or actually fucking hateful. We want to focus on that. We want to focus on the negative. They don't want to show off the highlights and the positives that happen in the community daily or within communities daily. That's all that they care about. They want to highlight the negative because it's a clickbaity story and also because they want to be the victims. They want everybody else to be these horrible human beings while they are forever in danger of being victims for just who they are as people. All Xander is worried about is bringing more people to his side, his team, make up for the sins of his past of being a right winger. I don't know exactly what all you did and the type of beliefs you used to hold, but they must have been pretty fucking spicy if you feel like you gotta grovel at the feet of the larger leftist fucking community to atone for those sins. And I'll say it right now, if he ever actually sat down and watched any of my response videos to his videos, I guarantee you I could actually just go ahead and tell you what arguments he would immediately make. For one, I would be painted as a right-wing extremist, probably a neo-Nazi, right? I would be a transphobic, bigoted piece of shit. Then, of course, he would probably make fun of the fact that I stand up for gamers, that I stand up for the gaming community as a whole. And, of course, he would probably, more than likely, I'd say, I'd almost bet money on making a joke about how I'm an irrelevant, tiny YouTuber. You know, I don't have any social status. You know, he'd be like, "Who are you?" Guarantee that's the type of argument that this type of person would make. But he wouldn't sit down and have an actual conversation with me. I guarantee you that. People like this are incapable of sitting down and having a conversation with anybody who isn't a carbon copy of themselves in terms of their ideology. If you would dare to question what they have to say, they will not have a good faith discussion with you. We've seen it time and time again. It just doesn't happen. And I guarantee that Xander is the exact same way. Either way, though, I think this article is pretty much bullshit. I think Xander's viewpoint on gamers is pretty much bullshit, especially for somebody who is very clearly not well versed in the gaming community as a whole and wants to sit here and judge everybody else. I think that the expert analysis coming from this psychologist is questionable at best, and I do not think that gamers as a whole are inherently more racist, sexist, and just overall worse people just because we play video games. I don't believe that for a second. I don't think there's any merit to any of the arguments that were made here or attempted to be made. However, we have reached the end of the video, and this is the part where I shamelessly plug in the community Discord that you are more than welcome to join. Everyone is welcome. Whether you just want to join in and see whenever I upload a new video, go live on Twitch, just hang out in the Discord, meet with other people, maybe similar mindsets, different mindsets, come and have a discussion or debate with me personally. I'm all for it. I don't care. I love a good discussion in good faith. It's actually quite fun to sit down and talk to people who have opposing points of view when you actually just want to talk. So as always, the Discord link will be in the description below, and I hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one.